Way back in spring 2007, confidence in the property market was so high that even novice developers were taking on hugely risky projects, and I met two of them. That means that your 40% return is looking a dim and distant dream, quite honestly.
No.
You're scaring us,
Yeah.
Sarah.
We've really got to balls this up and do it completely wrong if we don't make any money.
Both developments turned into truly titanic struggles, but that hasn't stopped one pair, Andy Davenport and Leanne Hewitt, from coming back for more.
We bought this bungalow not to make a small profit or no profit at all. The real reason for buying this bungalow is actually out there.
To make a big profit.
Big profit. How much?
Big. Big.
The market's taken a massive turn for the worse, but Andy and Leanne still think they can build a property empire. I'll be catching up on their progress. Two and a half years ago, I met a pair of developers who were convinced that low-cost, high-risk properties would cough up serious cash. Leanne Hewitt and Andy Davenport are partners in a successful florist business. Now they think they've spotted a clever way to cash in on the booming London property market. They've bought this 30-year-old three-bed semi in the southern London suburb of Croydon for a rock-bottom price. But there's a reason.
This property, I think a lot of people think we're absolutely nuts for taking it on. I mean, as soon as you say the word subsidence to people, it's like, you know... But I've got a real hunch that this is still a really good buy.
With both the back terrace and the garage literally sliding off the property, I've got a hunch this could be a real nightmare. From South London to North, business manager Milan Patel and his wife Ty have bought this highly unusual three-bedroom home in Stanmore, built in the early 1900s.
I think we can add a few extensions and literally double the size of it.
We haven't got planning permission yet, but hopefully that won't be a problem.
In reality, they've taken a massive gamble. They've paid out for a property without having any idea whether they can get planning permission to develop it. It's hardly a cautious approach for a pair of first-timers. Why do you want to develop?
Everyone else is doing it, so it can't be that hard to do, can it?
Famous last words.
And do you have faith?
No, none at all, none at all.
Milan and Ty bought the property for £400,000 and are hoping to do all the work, including 2 extensions, for £125,000, including fees. Their target sale price is £600,000, which would make them a clean £75,000 gross profit. That's if they can find a builder willing to meet their budget. Do you know, if I was looking at this and taking just a bit of a guess, it would be close to 200 to do this.
I think we're going to half your cost.
Are you?
Quite easily.
You are on television challenging Sarah Beanie.
I'm not challenging. Sarah's got expensive builders.
I'll be very impressed if you do all this for 100. Milan and Ty have got some pretty grand plans for this little house. On the first floor, there are 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. Downstairs, there's a dining room, a tiny kitchen, 2 living areas to the rear, and a detached garage. Stage 1 is to build a costly side extension and create a large but slightly awkward-shaped kitchen and utility room with a dining room at the rear. Personally, I don't think this is necessary when there's so much space available at the back of the property. Gosh, what a fantastic room!
We love this
This is
room.
brilliant. Why don't you put your kitchen in here?
In here?
Yeah. And this is the most fantastic room. You should be using this as the main room of the house.
It would make a fantastic kitchen.
It would, but it's not very traditional. It's not what you get in this area, you know. To have your biggest room downstairs as your kitchen.
I think that just means that it's perfect, doesn't it? I think Milan and Ty would be better off putting the kitchen in the spacious back room and scrapping their plans for the side extension. This would still leave room for 2 separate reception rooms, but it would cost a lot less. Which is no bad thing, because stage 2 of their plan is to replace the garage with a second extension to create 2 extra bedroom suites and a garage. This part of the development will add huge amounts of square footage and great value, but until it's passed by the local planning authority, it's all a pipe dream. So when do you start?
Next week.
Next week, excellent.
No, we haven't got our planning permission yet. We're still waiting for that to come through.
So have you had any indication as to whether they're going to be happy with it or not?
The neighbours on that side have said they want a metre away from the fence, but they haven't challenged it.
OK.
And we don't have a neighbour on that side, so hopefully we won't have a problem.
Just a week later, the local council object to their two-storey extension, citing its proximity to the nearby trees. Milan and Ty's two-storey extension has to be moved back at least 2 metres. They're forced to withdraw their planning application and submit an entirely new one. 35 miles south in Croydon, Leanne Hewitt and Andy Davenport are relying on the success of their development to fund their new florist shop.
We really have to get this development done, finished, and release the money within 3 months so that we can put the money back into the flower business. We have to, otherwise we're going to run into big problems.
In that case, they shouldn't have bought this. Apart from having a garden that's too steep to be practical, it's got a crumbling rear terrace and a serious subsidence issue with their garage, caused by the neighbour's garage alongside. What you've effectively got is a high hill with the house on the top and everything's falling off the side.
Yeah, we're unwrapping.
Yeah. You are unwrapping. Yeah. And you're going to have to dig down to Australia to support this, I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be spending 40 grand on the garage.
No.
God.
No.
You're scaring us,
Yeah.
Sarah.
No.
They paid a bargain basement $210,000 for this property and reckon they can transform it for a meagre £40,000. They plan to sell for $340,000 and bring in a £90,000 gross profit. That's if they can get their neighbours' insurers to fix the subsiding garage. This is relatively unmortgageable with these subsidence issues, but you can't fix the subsidence issues because it's not your fault, it's the other garage that's pulling yours with it, and you don't own the garage that's pulling your garage over.
But the worst case is we would have to remedy both garages.
If they allow you to.
That's the worst case scenario.
But no, the worst case is they don't allow you to fix their garage.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not going to come to that. I mean, it's in their interest to have a garage that's workable.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, but it's less of a problem for them because they're not trying to sell this in a few months' time, and you are, and you can't have a house on the market with subsidence.
No.
That's true.
If you had no problems with subsidence with this house, I'd say that the £40,000 budget that you got might be realistic, but I really think that you're going to be looking at spending double that on this, and that means that your 40% return is looking a dim and distant dream, quite honestly.
Sarah, you're scaring me.
I think there's a serious danger you're not going to make anywhere near the amount of money you think you're going to on this. In Croydon, South London, Leanne Hewitt and Andy Davenport paid a bargain price for this 3-bed semi. That's because the rear terrace needs to be completely replaced and the subsiding garage needs to be stabilised and then rebuilt.
I know this is a high-risk development, but the bigger the risk, the bigger the gain. And I'm up for this challenge, and I know we can do it.
Outside, they've got big problems, but at least on the inside, they're on the right lines. So the plan here is to take this wall down, yeah?
Yeah, knock it through.
Goes, and then you'd have a big kitchen, breakfast room, living room here. Downstairs, their plans are good. At the moment, there's a lounge diner, a kitchen, a WC and a garage. Andy and Leanne plan to create an impressive open-plan kitchen diner. But upstairs, with its 3-bed, 1-bath layout, it's always going to feel modest. I think the subsiding garage could have a silver lining. The garage needs to be addressed now, and the issue with the subsidence. If you do end up with doing it through the insurance and they rebuild the garage as it is, you're going to end up with very sound footings, and at that point I think it would be worth really seriously thinking about extending and making a 4th bedroom and bathroom. By extending and building above the garage, they'd have enough space to add a bedroom with ensuite. They'd end up with an upstairs layout that's far bigger and far more valuable. And then you've got 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and all of a sudden you move into another price bracket. I think it would be worth spending the extra money getting that 4th bedroom.
Just horrified to think where I'm going to find the money.
I mean, I don't think the extension stacks up if you're doing the whole thing on your figures. I just think if you're digging the foundations anyway, building it up to first floor level, you might as well keep going. It's relatively speaking not that much more money.
You've just made it such a bigger job.
Leanne's going quiet now at the thought of the budget.
Well, it all depends on the insurance. This only works if next door's insurance coughs up for the rebuilding.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
The other way they could bolster their profit here is if they sort out the seriously sloping garden and turn it into usable space. I'm just wondering why you don't deck right out on stilts the whole garden, because you don't really need the grass. It's on a slope, it's never going to be in great condition. Whereas all of this at the same level as the ground floor would be amazing. You'd have fantastic views. It would be a fantastic space.
We were going to bring the deck out much further out.
Why don't you cover the whole garden?
I mean, that's quite a good idea.
Do you? I think that's too big.
On this bit.
I think that's
Only
too
on this
much.
bit.
But what are you going to do with this piece? You bring the deck out and then you've got just a sort of hole.
You have
What do
just
you
got
do
a hole.
with all that decking?
Well, you have tables.
Same as you do with all the garden. Look at it.
I just
Sit
see that
on there.
as more money, to be honest.
Jan needs to learn that in development, it's the property that dictates how much you have to spend and not your bank balance. "30 miles away in Stanmore, North London, Milan Patel and his wife Ty are convinced they can turn this 3-bed property into a huge family home, even though they're now 4 months in and they still haven't got planning.
I'm fairly confident in this development. You know, we're putting a lot of money into this, and I think we've really got to balls this up and do it completely wrong if we don't make any money.
They've had to submit new plans to move their 2-storey extension 2 metres back from the trees. And now they're going online to see how it's been received by the neighbours.
Objections. Oh, so many objections. When's it all going to stop? When is it all going to be over?
All the objections mean their planning application has to go to committee. That's at least another 6 weeks' wait, and mortgage payments of £1,300 a month are eating up a £125,000 budget that was never big enough to begin with. Are you worried about the finance? Do you feel they're under control? Do you know where you are?
I don't think I have any full understanding of the budget. I think Milan is in
Are you in control of it?
Completely. I can tell you what it's probably going to cost.
How much is it going to cost then?
Now?
Yeah.
Everything?
Yeah.
With fittings?
Oh, with everything, yeah.
Then we're probably looking at around 135,
I don't think I want to hear this. I'm not
40.
ready.
If they'd just put the kitchen at the back of the house and scrap their side extension, they'd wipe thousands of pounds off their budget.
I think the kitchen has to be where the current kitchen is, to keep the big lounge.
It might not be a massive sitting room. I feel it would be big enough. But not building the extension to the side, quite honestly, with your budget going up, is going to be a good thing.
Commercially, it probably makes a lot of sense not to do the single story. I completely agree with you there. We like the idea of having a bigger kitchen and a bigger lounge.
Are you going to build the side extension or not?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
Well, that's a decision made. A stupid one, but that's fine. In Croydon, it's week 1 of Andy and Leanne's 3-month development. The crumbling rear terrace is being demolished, but the problem garage hasn't been touched. And that's because they first need to get the neighbour on board.
The main concern is that it could start to cause damage to the house.
Exactly. If I could get a copy of this from
Sure,
you.
okay.
What I'll do is I'll whack it off to the insurers to have a look and see what they think is the problem.
Subsidence can be caused by water being sucked out of the soil by nearby tree roots, and that could be the case here. Removing the tree is one solution, but many cases have to be underpinned anyway, and that can cost anywhere upwards of £5,000. All the more reason for Andy and Leanne to extend the property into a more profitable 4-bedroom home. I think they may be coming round to my idea.
It'd be so good that...
But you know what, I actually think now it is a kind of decent space for like a 4-bedroom house. It really opens it up.
You're really not considering an extension, are you? Or are you?
No. I'm not saying that I want to do the extension. I'm just saying that it's a really good size living area.
Now seems like a good time to persuade Andy and Leanne that rebuilding the garage to include an extra bedroom makes good business sense. It's not that much more in terms of cost, and a 4th bedroom will really make this house a lot more valuable.
Must be a little bit more on cost. I mean,
Oh, yeah, no, it will.
not what we've got in our budget.
Oh, no, it'll cost you more than
Yeah.
your budget, absolutely. Yeah. I completely accept that. It's going to be probably another 10,000-15,000. But in relative terms, it's a cheap extension to get a 4th bedroom because of the insurance, which could be a very lucky thing. I think it would be certainly worth getting planning permission to do it. It's certainly worth getting someone to draw it up.
I'm still not convinced.
You're not?
I'm not.
But you are delayed on the garage anyway because of the insurance. And I think if you weren't rebuilding the garage and you weren't going down the insurance route, I wouldn't be suggesting it. But you are doing that. So it seems silly to waste that time not putting a planning application in to get a 4th bedroom and a 2nd bathroom, because it will make a big impact to the price and it won't cost you that much money to do it.
That's a really valid point. We've got nothing to lose, like a few £100 by putting a planning application in.
Cool.
And that's going to add value anyway, isn't it?
It'll add a lot of value, even if you don't do it. When you come to sell it, you've got a planning permission there, so... A great way of adding value to your property is to secure planning permission. And it could also put Andy and Leanne on the road to triumph out of adversity. In Stanmore, planning delays have held Milan and Ty's 2-storey extension up for 6 long months. Their development should be nearly finished, but it hasn't even started. Today, it's crunch time, as a decision is being made by the council on their new planning application.
If we don't get planning today, I think I'm ready to just walk away from everything, just sell the house. We got the planning, we got it.
Fantastic, we got the planning finally. I think we should go and have a drink and celebrate. And then knock the garage down.
It's such a relief to finally see this development up and running. The new garage is about to be built, and Milan and Ty are getting stuck in on site. I can't resist going down to join in the fun, but when I arrive, all is not as it should be. I don't understand what's this. I thought this was going to be a garage. It's now got a wall 4 foot into it.
It was meant to be a garage, and then when we actually started the build, our builder wasn't aware that we were not going to do this and we were going to have one big garage here.
So basically there was a bit of a communication breakdown, really.
Yeah.
To put this right, the foundations would have to be redug, so Milan and Ty are stuck with a useless garage. Over the other side of London, Andy and Leanne are 4 weeks into their 12-week schedule. They're making great progress inside, but outside it's a different story. There's still no news on the garage and still no agreement on how to solve the hugely impractical garden.
I'm not sure about Sarah's decking idea, to be honest.
No, you see, I quite like that. I'm warming to that, because I always knew we would have an area at the end of the garden which was unusable.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
just
like,
seems
whilst
too
we're
big.
out here, let's just carry on.
It just seems too big.
I don't know, but we have to argue that one out.
I can't see why there's an argument. The owners of this house in Pangbourne in Berkshire had the vision to build an enormous decked area and turn a tricky steep plot into a large usable space. Decking can be a lot more than a few wooden planks stuck out of the back of the house. and you should expect to pay £5,000 upwards for a raised deck structure. The zoning of different areas effectively creates a number of outside rooms that adds serious value to the property. It's this sense of scale and ambition that Andy and Leanne need to embrace.
And you're right, I probably wouldn't buy it because of the garden, so...
So is that agreed? You're going to do the decking?
I think so, yeah, I think so. I think you've made some really, obviously, valid points.
Well, that sorts out one of this property's big problems. The other one is still sliding down the hill. In Stanmore, despite the slow start, Milan and Ty's development is picking up momentum, and now they have to try and deal with the realities of their spiralling budget.
We think we're not going to really make a profit. We may just break even. To get a higher return, I think we need to spend a lot more money. It's as simple as that. We've got to give a good high-end finish, and the only way to do that is to spend.
Spending money when you're confident of a return is no bad thing. Spending your way out of trouble, now that's altogether a more risky strategy. In Stanmore, North London, Milan and Ty are 3 months over schedule, but at least the structural work on their 2-storey extension is well in hand. Now they're turning their attention to the high-end finish that they reckon will make them a considerable profit.
We found this new fantastic work surface that we're really excited about. It's like a composite stone.
It's going to create that wow factor.
Yeah.
You have no join lines in there. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's all smooth and moulded, and we're thinking about using it as a little bit of a theme and perhaps, using it elsewhere in the house.
Corian, or composite, is a desirable material, but at £310 per linear metre, it isn't cheap. So this is the kitchen that you're going for?
This is the kitchen we're going for, and this is the composite surface,
Right.
surface that we've opted for as well.
Wow, it's fantastic. I think it's exactly the right thing to use in the kitchen, but what concerns me is where else you're using the composite. Where else is it going?
It's going to go in the bathrooms as well. The utility room.
And the utility room. And that's it? Anywhere else?
And the dining room.
Okay, so you're in the kitchen, bathrooms, utility room and the dining room. Are you lining the house with composite? Is that the plan?
We like it.
Clearly. A top-end development would be unlikely to spend more than £10,000 on work surfaces. With the cost of composite coming in at £15,000, Milan and Ty are overstepping the mark. Over in Croydon, Andy and Leanne are 9 weeks into their 12-week development. They're transforming the steep rear garden by building a new decked area, but they've received some bad news regarding the garage. The neighbours' insurers are not going to pay up to rebuild it.
I'm feeling quite depressed about it now, really.
I mean, it's not all doom and gloom, but it sort of knocked all the wind out of sails a bit today.
No, but it just seems
There's
now
more hassle
more hassle.
that we really could do without, but, we've got to stay positive, not going to give up.
There comes a point in most developments when you have to be pragmatic. The house is due back on the market in just 3 weeks, and to make anything close to the $90,000 they were hoping for, they have to deal with the subsiding garage now. I just look at this and I kind of think, you've got a house that's nearly finished, it's ready for sale, pretty much. If I was you, I'd just demolish your garage, the first garage, so it's not attached to the house, it's not pulling anything over, and leave yours space as a parking space next to your house with wooden gates at the back, and I would sell the house like that because you are nearly finished. You can get a shot of this and get on with the next one. Demolishing the garage would eliminate all the problems and therefore make the house much more marketable. But Andy and Leanne have a very different idea.
We would actually like to knock both garages down and try and get planning permission to put a house on there.
It has to be a point where you cut your losses and just say, let's get on with the next development.
If there is potential to build a 2-bedroom house, then we could make amazing profit from this development. And that could be our next project. So why wouldn't we investigate it?
I would be very, very cautious about getting involved in a very lengthy, long process of trying to get planning in a very restricted area on a house that's going to be complicated to build, because you could be in sort of no man's land for a very long time with this.
If Andy and Leanne are getting more ambitious by the day, in Stanmore, Milan and Ty have gone completely mad. They're installing every kind of whimsical gadget and gizmo with scant regard for their profit. And at over £1,000, their latest indulgence really takes the biscuit.
A fish tank is really nice because it just overlooks the island, which is a nice focal point. It's a good area where people can talk.
You like a fish, don't you?
If ever there was a case of over-personalising a development with total disregard for the bottom line, this is it.
At what stage in this development did you think, I know what we need, and that is a wall aquarium?
Every kitchen needs it.
OK, this isn't your kitchen. I think you should put it in your kitchen, in your home. I think
It's a really nice feature, and I think it really
take it down.
gives us some serenity in our kitchen.
OK, so it's staying, is it? You're not going to take it down?
I think it's a new trend, fish tanks in kitchens.
Milan and Ty's idea of a new trend is fishy, to say the least. In Croydon, Andy and Leanne are at the end of their 12-week schedule. The garage remains untouched, but the rest of the property is finished. So I'm back to see how the development stands. On the inside, they've done an incredible job, turning a boxy and uninspiring property into a well-finished and beautifully designed home. The open-plan kitchen diner is a real achievement. The sleek worktop, the walnut cupboards and solid oak flooring are the height of kitchen diner design.
It's such a surprise, this, isn't it? From the outside of the house, you would never expect to have this amazing space inside. It's like a TARDIS.
It's turned out really well. Really pleased.
I'm really happy with it.
They'll have to come up with something pretty special to top the kitchen. But with the decked area outside, I think they've done just that. Glass folding doors lead out onto the enormous decked area that is this property's biggest draw.
And this is just the most amazing space. When you look back at the house...
Yeah, it's perfect space for what we had.
When you're inside looking out, it looks amazing. When you're outside looking in, it looks amazing.
Yeah. It's tremendously successful. It's made what was a pretty disappointing garden into an amazing outside space. So well done, you've really pulled it off. So all in, you wanted to do this whole development for £40,000. How much have you come in at?
50,000.
Which is not bad. I mean, to do all of this for £50,000 is pretty good. But of course that £50,000 doesn't include dealing with the garage, which is still exactly the same as when you bought it.
Now it's down to the agents to work out the value of a great house with a dodgy garage.
Absolutely fantastic doors. What was once an unusable garden is now fantastic for dining. Beautiful.
Two really good sized rooms. I mean, you would never expect this looking at the house from the outside.
You can see here the garage is literally falling away from the house. That needs sorting out. It's a nervous subject. People do not like subsidence.
Well, this really is a great selling feature of the property. Ideal for relaxing, coming home and having that drink or barbecue.
Iridescent tiling, wonderful, quite unique. With the white tiling, the white suite, funky shower, finishes it beautifully.
But is it enough to get the £340,000 asking price Andy and Leanne are hoping for?
With the garage as it is, I value this property at £300,000.
As it stands, I would value the property at £300,000.
We have had two valuations of the house as it is now. They've both come in at 300. So if you sold it as it was now, you could walk away with a £40,000 profit, which is not a bad profit for...
Yeah, but we wouldn't even consider that.
So you're not tempted to take the 40k and run?
No, not at all. I mean, people would probably say we were mad to do this in the beginning with subsidence, but I think we'd be mad to walk away and take that 40,000.
The issue of this garage has been dragging on for ages, but what's really significant here is that we've also had valuations done as to how much the house would be worth if you demolished your garage, so it was just a carport next door, and that is coming in at £340,000, so that would make you an £80,000 profit.
That's what we were hoping for.
So what are you going to do?
I mean, I'm personally hearing those valuations now thinking that we just repair the garage.
I think we'll have an open day and bid it up to 350.
Disappointingly, that never happens. Rather than cough up for the garage themselves, Andy and Leanne try and reopen negotiations with their neighbours' insurers while they plan their next developing move. In Stanmore, North London, 13 months after it started, Milan and Ty's development is finally finished. They've doubled the square footage of the original cottage, but retained its character with a seamlessly blended extension. As first impressions go, Milan and Ty have made a good one.
It's an amazing achievement, I've got to say. The house looks great. But you ended up with a stumpy garage, as I've decided I shall call it.
It's a very friendly green garage. You can't fit a big gas guzzler in there, can you? So, you know, you can put a bike in there.
That's ridiculous.
It's as per the plan.
It's ridiculous.
End of conversation.
The garage might be a bit disappointing, but hopefully the rest of the house isn't. The new entrance hall is impressive, and there's a generous-sized, luxurious study library. It's the controversial rear reception I still have an issue with, though. Its clean contemporary styling does nothing to offend, but I've always believed this space could have been put to far better use.
Oh no, you're not going to say it should still be the kitchen.
I'm afraid I am. I still think this would make the most amazing kitchen.
I think you're wrong, Sarah. Don't like to say that, but
Yes, you do.
when you see the kitchen, I think you will agree that that was the right decision to do by making this the lounge.
Okay.
The kitchen is undeniably extravagant. The seamless composite worktops make a striking contrast with the solid wood units, whilst highly glazed floor tiles bounce light around this vast space. Every last detail is the latest in modern design, though perhaps the outlandish fish tank is one step too far.
I mean, this is certainly spectacular, and there's no way that anyone's going to walk in and not be amazingly impressed with it. But I'd still come back to the fact that as a development, it perhaps wasn't the best business plan. I think you could have achieved a great kitchen breakfast room and a couple of reception rooms without doing the side extension.
I would completely agree with you. In retrospect, we didn't need to do the single story.
But then we wouldn't have had this kitchen.
The truth is, Milan and Ty didn't hang back on any part of this project, and the budget shot up from £125,000 to £203,000.
Now, you bought the house for £400,000, so with the £203,000 that you've spent, you're all in at £603,000, which, bearing in mind you were hoping to sell at £600, would constitute a £3,000 loss.
Yeah, but I think
You're quietly confident.
I'm confident we can make a reasonable profit out of this.
What do you now secretly reckon it's probably worth?
750. I mean, to me that would be amazing. That would be fantastic.
Even though a rising market has added £50,000 to the value of the property, Milan's estimate would still smash the ceiling price in the road. Will the agents back him up?
They've done a very, very good job of tying in the new with the old.
This is absolutely amazing. The kitchen, I must say, it's been done to a very, very high specification.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I guess you get a lawnmower in there.
Wow, that is a fabulous kitchen.
All the bedrooms in the house are lovely, I must say. And done to a very, very good standard.
They seem to have gone overboard on these working surfaces. Very smart.
Even got the composite material here, which perhaps for a property of this type and size might be a little excessive.
I would recommend an asking price of £685,000.
I would ask for this house £700,000.
For this house, I would suggest an asking price of £725,000.
So we have had 3 valuations on the house, and they've come in at 685,000, 700 and 725,000.
I think it's about right, yeah.
Well, that would give you between 82,000 and 122,000 pounds profit for the development.
Wow.
So it's been worthwhile.
I personally think that you did lose sight along the way slightly of where this house is in terms of the type of street it's on, the area it's in, and what sort of ceiling price was around this area, because I mean, this is undoubtedly going to be the most expensive house in this street, and it's a question of where do you pitch that.
I think they could have spent less money and made a bigger profit, but they won't make a penny if the property doesn't actually sell.
Wow, that's so pretty. It's really charming, isn't it?
Okay, so you can't really fit a car in, but
No.
for the boiler.
But it's quite handy for storage though, isn't
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's just gorgeous. I love this. Can you imagine cooking around this?
Fantastic.
Oh, I like the way it's 2 sinks. Good. Yeah. The way his and hers is great.
That is just so funky.
We would definitely come back for a second look because I'd really like my husband to see it.
The other stuff we've seen just doesn't match up to the feel of this house. And this is just a dream house, and it's the house for life as well. We wouldn't actually really need any more space.
There's no doubt this property will sell. I just have my doubts whether it will go for the 750,000 Milan and Ty want.
Are you happy with this development now it's finished?
Not the garage.
Is there anything else you'd change apart from that?
I probably wouldn't want Ty involved in the next development.
So you'd be more...
I wouldn't want to be involved in the next development.
Right, so this is definitely not a career for you, Ty.
Never, ever, ever.
And is this something you're going to revisit?
I don't know, let's see 6 months, 12 months, but I think I need a break.
It becomes more than that, because Milan and Ty make the big call to move into the property and haven't touched another development since. Back in Croydon 4 months on, Andy and Leanne are still lumbering with their subsiding garage. Even worse, for the first time in years, the market has started to fall. Despite all that, Andy and Leanne are diving into development number 2.
We bought this bungalow not to make a small profit or no profit at all. The real reason for buying this bungalow is actually out there.
To make a big profit.
A big profit this time. How much?
Big. Big.
Andy and Leanne have now been waiting 17 long weeks for their neighbours' insurers to sort out the dodgy garage on their development. For all of that time, the market's been falling, so rather than sell, Andy's decided to move in, and they've hatched a new plan to raise money against the property for future projects.
It's been 4 months since we finished the house in Croydon, and we've still not got the garage issue resolved yet. But we've made a decision: if the insurance company isn't going to repair it within the next month, then we will take Sarah's advice and knock it down, because we can't let a wonky garage stop us with our developments.
We've moved on, and we have the possibility of making nearly £500,000.
So fingers crossed. You're going to say £1 million.
I was going to say £1 million then.
And they're hoping to do it with this: a tired, old 3-bed bungalow in nearby Kenley that Andy and Leanne have just bought for a pricey £490,000. They're planning a £60,000 modernisation, on which they're only expecting to break even, so what's the big secret?
This is the reason we bought the property.
What we plan to do here is to knock
it down and build a house.
Knock all this down and build a house.
The bungalow comes with a large studio tacked on the side. In its place, Andy and Leanne want to build a 4-bedroom detached property.
It's going to cost us about £200,000 to do the new build on this property.
And we think we can sell it for 600,000, which potentially gives us a 400,000 profit, which would just be
amazing,
mind-blowing.
Andy and Leanne have always had the knack of seeing the bigger picture. Success here is all about getting planning permission, and they've done their homework. When there's already an existing structure in place, like this studio, the odds should be stacked in their favour.
The thing is, everyone harks on about the market moving and depressed and whatever. I just think if you can find a really good deal, then it makes no difference.
While Andy and Leanne are waiting for their planning application to go through, they get cracking on the adjoining bungalow.
When it comes, the roll-top bath will literally be the focal point.
The plan is to give it the same super stylish revamp as development number 1. Progress is good, and within just 6 weeks they're onto plastering and second fix electrics. It's all going according to plan. But just a fortnight later, that could all be about to change.
We weren't actually looking for another development because we've already got the one at Kenley going on, but we had a call from our estate agent to say that a little gem had come up on the market and were we interested. It's too good an opportunity to miss, so we have to find the money from somewhere to fund this.
This Croydon plot cost £245,000 and comes with planning permission for a 4-bedroom bungalow. They want to spend £150,000 on the build and sell for £550,000, making £150,000 gross profit. But I think the build costs will spiral upwards and the market is still falling sharply. This is far from a sure thing. What's more, back in the first development, where Andy's still living, it's clear that this new venture will soak up every last penny he and Leanne can lay their hands on.
I've spoken to Simon, our mortgage broker, and he says that yes, we should be able to get a commercial loan. And I think we should remortgage this property while we're here.
Knock down that bit of garage.
Yeah, knock the garage down.
We can't.
Knock the garage down and remortgage, take out what we need and continue on.
At long last, the garage comes down. Andy and Leanne up their total borrowing to £800,000, deferring the interest on their commercial loan for a year to keep the monthly payments down to £3,000. I think they're stretching themselves very, very thin.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
It's been a very, very long time since we last met. And one thing's for sure, and that's over the last year or so, there's been a lot of losers and some winners, but I want to know how you guys have been getting on.
This bungalow has had the full Andy and Leanne treatment. Once again, the styling is razor sharp and ultra modern. The kitchen has been opened up and leads neatly into the living room next door, with both areas flowing out to the patio through great full-width doors. The bedrooms and the bathrooms finish off an assured piece of design. Andy and Leanne were hoping to break even on the project and sell for £550,000.
We've had this on the market. We've kind of tested the waters on this, and we've dropped it to 495.
Oh right, so and what happened at 495?
They just didn't get any No, we didn't even get any viewings.
Did you think about dropping it maybe further to 450?
No. Instead of taking a huge loss on this, let's put a tenant in and we'll sit it out for 5 years. Because it was always never about this house. You know, we never thought this bungalow was going to make us any money. It's about the land.
Have you got planning on next door?
We put planning in for a 4-bedroom house.
Okay.
And it got rejected.
But are you confident you will get planning eventually?
Yes, it looks favourable.
Well, one good thing about the downturn in the market, we're not in a desperate rush now to get planning and get something built on there, and get it sold. It doesn't matter. Even if we had planning permission now, we wouldn't be building that or start building for probably 2 to 3 years till the market has, done its adjustment.
There's a lot of people who develop who are in very similar situations to yourselves, and they're having to make longer term decisions from shorter term business plans.
Tough markets need long-term thinking. By stalling next door and letting both this and the first project in Croydon to cover their mortgage payments, Andy and Leanne are doing the right thing. But the question remains what to do with their latest purchase, the plot of land. Because prices have now fallen so far, there's no profit in the development.
With everything that's happened this year, for us, actually, it's the land that is the most problematic. We can manage everything else.
You've now got a plot of land which is worth less than you paid for it. What you don't want to do is spend a whole load more money building a house and still be facing a loss. You're better off taking a loss on the plot of land than going through the hassle and expense of building a house and then taking the loss anyway.
We have thought about that. It would be easier just to offload the whole headache and just, not worry about it. We will take a bigger hit, and it's kind of almost a guaranteed big hit.
Andy wants to start work in 4 weeks, but I'd cut their losses now, especially as the market's still looking ugly and the interest on their commercial loan will kick in just 6 months.
The one thing Leanne's gutted about with this is there's some deals to be had now. Yes. And when you tied your money up, you can't get it.
That's what I am gutted about. I think, now is maybe not now, but, the next year, it would be a great time to buy. And I am gutted that our money's tied up. That's what really upsets me.
It hasn't quenched your thirst for developing this at all?
Not at all.
Ooh, you're very brave.
I think Andy and Leanne were right to take a long-term view with their bungalow, but I do think now's the right time to get rid of their plot of land. It's a cautionary tale to all developers who've got a bit too enthusiastic with their ambitions. Be prepared to take a loss now to reduce your exposure in an uncertain market.
If you'd like any more information on this programme or would like to be on the next series, please log on to channel4.com/4homes.
And to find out Sarah Binney's top property developing rules, visit channel4.com/4homes. Next up, bad karma, paranoia and a major move by Big Brother. It's all coming up to the boil next.